What's your biggest aha moment about how the industry needed to change? Man, I definitely remember. So a little bit before I left Charleston for Tennessee, I had seen an encapsulation that was like 2 years old and had just completely fallen apart. And so we were doing mold remediation on it. And again, I didn't have my own business back then. And it's just really clear that, it just too much water had it encountered and it just everything fell apart and the dehumidifier couldn't keep up and the condensate pump was clogged and everything had failed and no one noticed for 6 months and the whole thing was a wet, sealed up, moldy mess, right? And I had done that like pretty close to leaving. And then when I got up to Tennessee, I'm on the mats. I was doing jiu-jitsu and I rolled with this guy and it we were being a little bit mean on the mats to each other type of thing, but afterwards it's all good and I'm like, "Hey dude, tough roll and this and that and what's your name and what do you do?" And he asked me like, "What do you do?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do crawl space stuff mostly, mold remediation, a little bit of encapsulation, this and that." And he was like, "That's what I do." And anyway, short version, before I had enough private students to live off of that income, I needed some side work, so the savings weren't just disappearing overnight. And he was kind enough to give me some work. And I remember the first time we ever saw, um, I say we, it was me. I remember the first time my partner eventually came out to see it too, but I remember the first time I saw the way he was doing it. And the thing that hit me right away was just the lights. So people in Charleston, typically, almost everyone, I'd say most popular is to just set up floodlights. So you come under with battery powered lights or plug in lights, and they're very bright and they like illuminate some small area in front of them. And then, people being less organized and scrupulous than that will work with just little headlamps. And in either case, you have these big bright areas and then a bunch of dark things you can't see. And it just sucks. And I remember that this guy had gone in and just literally hung up overhead lighting before he even started work. And I was like, why didn't I think of that? And it was just like, treating it like a job site, treating it not like crawl space work necessarily, but like any other construction field. Really set up your workspace, have have a clean base to work off of. And that was, also just eye-opening was the drain mat. I came to understand how much it increased longevity after that and through seeing other things, but just right away, like, oh my God, we have a clean surface to work off of. We can actually make sure everything's clean, everything can be taped up. It's going to increase the life of it. And then, yeah, I got to show him a couple of things too about how to like the kind of cuts we would use and the way we would overlap seams and stuff to kind of make up for the fact that I was used to far inferior materials. So it took a little more skill to make them really work and last. So that was it for me. It was like, oh, I'm never going back. I'm never doing that this other way again. Like, what's the price difference to do it this way? That little? Like, why wouldn't we all just do this? So yeah, business back.